Hello and welcome to cricketnews.com. My name is Sumedhh Bilgi. In this one, we're taking a look at a team that believes in making some big investments ahead of their big dreams, and they've done so yet again this season in the form of Jameson and Maxwell and a couple of others. Yes, we're talking about Bangalore. Alright, so if you haven't done it yet, like, share and subscribe to cricketnews.com and let's dive into Bangalore now, shall we? It's a team that has come close a number of times, led by Virat Kohli, of course. They've done everything that they could do in their power to try and get to the final, but the trophy has eluded them last time as well. They made it to the semis but could not take it further. Lost team towards the end. But how have they this time tried to rectify those couple of areas that were missing for RCB? Let's take a look at what they did in the auction now, shall we? Let's take a look at it right away as opposed to the other teams that we've looked at. I want to dive into what they did at the auction right away, shall we? So let's take a look at what they did in the IPL 2021 auction. Alright, the number one thing that strikes you about Bangalore's activity in the auction is that they went big for Maxwell and they went in for Kyle Jamieson. They bought into that dream of Maxwell yet again. It's the latest franchise to invest their dreams and hopes in Maxwell, hoping that he will propel their side, give them that much needed firepower, live up to his name and expectations and his performances for Australia, in India as well, in an IPL team. And RCB will be really hopeful that Maxwell can turn up in that number 5 position, give them that firepower, win them games, finish games towards the end. So that is the first name that they went in for heavy, and they got in the race down Chennai Super Kings and got Maxwell there. The other big acquisition was Kyle Jamieson, a like-for-like replacement, if you like, for Dale Steyn, for an aging Dale Steyn who's not available this time around. But effectively, the three major replacements that they've had to make was, of course, for Steyn, Finch and Udana, and they've gone down Jameson, Maxwell and Christians and Sam to fill up that role for Udana, who I think did reasonably well in IPL 2020. So these were the main names that they've acquired, along with a couple of other young Indian players as well. I like the look of Suyash Prabhudesai from Goa, who looks like someone who can talk the ball out of the park at will. KS Bharat there, a couple of other young Indian players, but all of those players are essentially squad players. And these three names that we've mentioned are going to be your mainstay names that will be playing week in, week out, you'd like to see in this edition of the IPL. So essentially, RCB did what they do every single auction. They got out the good old broomstick, swept the dressing room entirely, got a chunk of those names outside and brought in some big boys, literally and figuratively as well, to come in and add a little bit more firepower to this team. Alright, so let's take a look at a potential RCB 11 now, shall we? Because this is where it gets very interesting. Every year you try and figure out what could be the 11, because there are so many moving parts with RCB. The spine of the team at one point became only Kohli and Villiers, but now you like to see that there are a few more Indian players that continue to be mainstays, the likes of Chahal. You like to see the likes of Siraj or Saini and Sundar, who will figure in this team. And now Devdutt Padikkal also comes to the top. Of course, we wish Devdutt Padikkal a speedy recovery from COVID-19. But once he's back into this team, look at the top 4, top 5 this team has to offer, and it's absolutely staggering. So you open with Padikkal and Kohli. Kohli has made his intentions clear that he'll be opening the batting for RCB as well, which actually clears the way for the likes of Maxwell and ABD to come out and do what they want to do in their own way. So Kohli opens with Padikkal, and then I think you need a dasher at 3, and I think young Mohammad Azharuddin could really do that for Bangalore. In the past, you've seen a lot of teams employ this strategy where you throw in a number 3 or an opening batter who just goes out all guns blazing from ball 1, and you don't really have to think about anything at all. And what Azharuddin did in the domestic space as well, especially that one Syed Mushtaq Ali game, I think everybody took notice of that and they picked him up. So Mohammad Azharuddin, I think for me will bat at 3. It depends on the surface as well. So of course they start their games in Chennai, 3 games there, but a majority of their games, Bangalore will be playing on good batting surfaces. They're playing a lot of their games in Calcutta, a few games in Bombay as well. So a chunk of their matches will be played on good batting tracks, and on good batting tracks, you need a good top-heavy team. So Azharuddin bats there at 3 for me, and then you're followed by AB de Villiers and Glenn Maxwell. That's where it gets really exciting, isn't it? So Padikkal, Kohli, Azharuddin, AB de Villiers and Maxwell. That is a fabulous top 5, as good as it can come in this edition of the IPL. So that's your 5. And then, of course, you have the likes of Shahbaz Ahmed, who did well. Kyle Jamieson, Dan Christian, I think will come into this team, or Daniel Sams. One of these guys will definitely plays for me. And then Sundar, Siraj Hossaini and Chahal. So that essentially becomes your RCB 11, a very, very strong, top-heavy team. But all said and done, the death bowling is still an issue that they haven't addressed yet. Who will take on that mantle? Is it going to be Mohammad Siraj? Is it going to be Navdeep Saini? Or is it going to be the 37-year-old Dan Christian that RCB have trusted and gotten back again for a few crore to do that job? Or will it be Daniel Sams? There are a number of options there, definitely, but there is not one name that you can pinpoint and say, this is my 17th and 19th over bowler. And so there is a bit of soul searching that RCB need to do. They need to have Chahal back in form as well. He hasn't been looking very good for India in the last few months. They need to get him back as well. So a couple of concerns again there for RCB, especially in the bowling unit, while the batting looks very, very formidable indeed. Where do I think RCB are going to finish this year? It's a tough call. It really is a very, very tough call. But I think given the conditions that they're going to be playing in, a few matches in Chennai, but a lot of their matches will be happening in Calcutta, 5 games there, a few matches in Bombay as well. So I think along with sort of accelerating and propelling their batting to the next level, it will be very important how RCB figure out their death bowling options as well, and they assign that role to specific people. Remember, last year there was a lot of soul searching. The Stain came in initially, dropped him again, got him back again for later games. Isuru Udana was in the mix. He picked up a few wickets and then went for a few runs. He was dropped again. So there was a lot of movement that happened in the bowling ranks. I think that went against them and they lost steam towards the end because the players did not know what their roles were. They were searching for what they need to do. The captain also at the end was searching for what needs to be done, and then they buckled under pressure. So I definitely feel the earlier that RCB set their plans in place, give specific bowlers their specific targets and say, this is what you need to do, go ahead and do it, the earlier it is. The classic case is Yuzvendra Chahal. He was told that you come in and bowl immediately after the power play, and you saw him shine last IPL. He really turned into a different bowler. So give your bowlers those exact roles to be executed. Let them go about their business. Show them trust. Show trust in them, and you never know what this team could produce you, because you already have a lot of firepower in the batting. Who do I think is going to be a very important player in this RCB team? Well, no prizes for guessing. Glenn Maxwell, I think, is somebody that everybody will have their eyes on. Every time an IPL auction approaches, you see if Glenn Maxwell will be dropped this time. Will he not be trusted finally? Punjab lost their patience with him, but this time RCB have bought into that vision of Glenn Maxwell possibly helping their cause and giving them that much needed boost in the middle order. Can he deliver this time? Can he win 4 games for RCB? If he can win 4 big games for RCB, then I think RCB will go a very long way into the tournament, put up some big totals, and really make it difficult for the teams to chase them down. I think, to be very, very honest, this team really does lack a bit of stealth in the bowling, but if they can find that, well, you never know, they could make it into the top 4.